we just heard the music of Ken Murray and Company, a track called Lucky Strike, heralding an evening missions. This is vk3sl. We're testing here on 160 and also on UHF, along with a streaming service which is on YouTube, which can be dialed up. Just look up the call sign, my call sign, and it's there, happening right now. So, welcome, and I really have no idea what we're going to do tonight. It's a bit of an unknown. We'll just jump into the abyss and discover things as we go. I think we sort of hallmarked an accordion theme for later on, so we might listen to a bit of Piazzolla, and that was a subject I think worth pursuing. But been away for a bit and been enjoying being away for a bit. That's sort of the something I want to pursue more of, going away, beautiful places in nature. So, yeah, we inhabit different late night wilderness here on these missions, 78 shellac cylinders, transcription records, and the smattering of YT here and there to flesh out the picture. But we have some shellac, an old Vocalion record. In fact, this is an Echo 78, which is the budget label for Vocalion in the 1920s, and it's the Frisco Jazz Band, a track called Where the Wild Wild Flowers Grow. Bit of English music from the 1920s. Great for testing. vk3sl. It's a band billed as the Frisco Syncopators. I have no idea who they were. I've just looked up on Discogs, and it could have been Yerkes's Jazz Rimba Orchestra, Eddie Davis and his orchestra, Erodi and his famous orchestra, Ben Selvin, Adrian Schubert, Nathan Glantz, Louis Katzman, the original Memphis Five, Harry Reeser. The list goes on. Even the California Ramblers issued records under the name of the Frisco Syncopators. It was a way to circumvent their contractual obligations and, work on other labels. I think it's actually an American band, but how about that bass clarinet solo? Now, I'm sure there was a bass clarinet, not a saxophone there. Sounded striking. And, of course, that euphoric distortion with those carbon granules. All very excited. I'm going to have a look at this disc. I'm going to wrestle it off the platter and see if I can supply any more information. It does say, very proudly on the label, it says electrical recording. So I reckon this would have to be from 1925 or 26. What's on the other side? Colette. Okay. All right. We can have a listen to this too, I think. Yes. Courtesy of the Vocalion Gramophone Company, an Echo record. So let's have a listen to Coquette, the Frisco Syncopators. I'm vk3sl, and we are testing on 160 UHF and streaming online. There we have it. That was the Frisco Syncopators. Quite an impressive record, I have to say. I did enjoy hearing the guitar solo behind the tenor. Interesting, it's a pre-crooning record, so the artist in question, I don't know who it was, is sort of singing in the parlour tenor tradition, the silver masked tenor. And but with a guitar accompaniment, which I reckon might have been Eddie Lang. There's only a few players who had sort of exotic flavours, playing certain instruments at that time early on, and I reckon it could be an early recording with Eddie Lang, perhaps. Anyhow, there we have it. That was quite special, that record. I'm going to do some investigation eventually. Maybe not, but we have these interesting records that just surface from time to time. Does it tell us who the singer is? No, it says vocal refrain. Always says that. Okay, well, I have had a couple of little op shop discovery sessions since I was on last, and including the local op shop had a big pile of 78s, and riffed through them all and found a recording of the English concertina. We played one this afternoon on this afternoon's missions, and I'll play the other side now. This is a Zonophone record from the period just before the First World War or thereabouts, around about that time, and it's a gentleman, Mr. J. Hume. He's playing the English concertina, and we'll hear a waltz. Destiny Waltz is the name of the track. So Mr. Hume with piano accompaniment. I'm vk3sl, testing. I really like records like that. That was beautiful. Nice phrasing, and he had a quaint style. Mr. Hume there on the accordion, on the concertina. And you don't often see concertina records, so that I thought that was worth snapping up for the sum of $1. Yeah, Destiny Waltz, English concertina. In that same pile of records, there was another interesting disc. This one really did take my attention because it's a record from the 1920s and its title is A Day's Broadcasting. Well, my eyes nearly fell out of my head because anything with a word broadcasting from that decade certainly has a strong historical pretext. So I did some research and it happens to be, it's a descriptive sketch by Clapham and Dwyer. They're a pair of comedy duo from the 20s who were quite big. They made some phono films and did various things, and they even got into trouble with the BBC. I was reading about their exploits, and it was some of their rather lurid jokes that led to the establishment of the Green Book. It says here, setting out subjects, words and phrases and songs that should not be broadcast. I love it. So, but I don't think this is anything as risque as that. In fact, it's a little bit not entirely that easy to play on air. I had a preview of this record, but we'll play side A. We'll give it a Guernsey, and it is a descriptive sketch, and it harks back to the very early days of broadcasting and the dynamic therein. And yeah, I think it's worth playing. So we'll see how we go. It was very filthy, so I had it in the sink after I'd done the dishes tonight. I put this record in and gave it a good wash, trying to get some of the crud out of it. It's really, really crusty. But it's an old Columbia 78, and I believe this was produced in 1928. And they followed on and did another couple in the same series a little bit later. But this is the original, Clapham and Dwyer, and a disc called A Day's Broadcasting. This is vk3sl, testing on 160 and on UHF.
Everybody, Clapham and Dwyer calling. We are taking you over to the London studio. Stand by, please, for the 12 o'clock time signal. Here is the weather report. The weather will be slightly sloppy for the next few months. Sports. There will be a lot of skiing in Switzerland and a lot of heeing at Monte Carlo. Summer this year will occur on Thursday, July the 15th. One moment, please.
The news bulletin. Copyright, right-ho, straight from the horse's mouth. Unofficial, of course. Channel swimming. 4 place, 3 hake, 2 skate, 1 carp. Left Cape Greasy Nose yesterday at 11:30. Arrived at Dover, not a Dover soul to greet them. Without further delay, they were in the pan, on the stove, and sizzling at 2:30. This, we believe, breaks all records. American papers, please copy. Boxing. Gene Tunney left New York this morning for Southampton by the SS Have Some Malaria. All British heavyweights are leaving Southampton tonight. Destinations unknown.
Slate Clubs. The Slate Club Secretary's annual outing on December the 21st last was a great success. They are extending their stay indefinitely despite invitations from the government to return. Skating. The skating championship from Land's End to John of Groat's, which started last Wednesday, was won by Mr. I.C. Frost. During the last 10 miles, he was seen to use the breaststroke. This concludes the local news. There will now be a short discourse on music by Professor Quaver.
Now, speaking about music for one moment. Music, of course, is a tonic. The tonic, so far, so good. I mean, the tonic is, of course, good for what? I mean, and dough. Now, dough, of course, we must have the dough. I mean, we don't get much ourselves, but I mean, dough is very important. And these boats things for flappers. I mean, I think these flappers ought to have these blokes because they're very good for them. And the technique of the music, of course, technique. I mean, you can anything you like, but I mean, technique is important. And I've got the runners and riders here. I've got the wrong paper. Chuck the other one over here, fathead. What are you messing with that? But as I was saying, music, of course, is very important because of the technique, you see. And
that concludes Professor Quaver's talk on music. We're now taking you over to the Children's Hour. Hello, kiddies. Many happy bars, and everything you wish yourselves. One special message, one birthday message to little Tommy Atkins. Tommy, if you go and look under your mother's pillow, I think and hope you will find her teeth because she lost them.
Hello, this is Uncle Charlie speaking, and saying many happies to all the many happies, and many, and you as well. And Willie McTavish of Mile End Road, if you look in the back garden, you'll probably find the tap running and several empties of your father's, and one thing or the other.
That'll do, Uncle Clapham, thank you. Uncle Rex of the Hesperus will now sing to us.
Why?
This is London Station calling. We are now going over to the other side.
One new needle, please.
Oh, there we go. I think we'll save the other side for next time. I might even put that one up on YouTube. I don't think it's there. The later versions or the subsequent follow-ons are certainly there, but not this one. So you might have to remedy that situation. But yeah, Clapham and Dwyer, English comedy duo from the 1920s, and their take on broadcasting in that decade. It's not that dissimilar to the Rupert Hazell 3OL series made in Sydney at the same time. But it's you get an idea of how the programs manifested at that time. Anyhow, we'll dial up Frank shortly. I'll just have to get organised and work out how I'm going to switch things across. Sort of forgetting what to do here. In the interim, we'll have a recording of the City of Birmingham Orchestra with George Weldon. This is a record that's been in my possession since I was about 10 years of age. I remember getting this and I was in grade 3 or 4, and I played one of these Norwegian dances on the cello when I started playing. Can't remember which one, but I'll play one side and see if it evokes a deep memory. It's a Columbia 78 from the 1930s. Norwegian Dances by Edvard Grieg. Whoa, there we go, with the percussive accompaniment there. Yes, the system here doesn't like me working on the computer while the noise reduction is in action. So it's not so good at multitasking anymore, this PC. One of many shack PCs, but it does do two things. Now, we'll get Zoom sorted in a moment. What I'll do is I'll put another record on and I'll play it just raw, barefoot. We can do that. We'll hear the other side. And this is Norwegian dance number 4, Allegro Molto. All right. And again, the City of Birmingham Orchestra. But what we'll do is we'll play it straight off without any noise reduction. So, a different experience. the music of Grieg. Rather scratchy, that record. It didn't fare so well without the noise reduction, but we have now dialed up Zoom, and I think Mr. Frank is in the room. Are you in the room, Frank? Ah, I can see you there. Have I admitted you? Ah, I think I have. I can't hear you, though. Oh, what's going on here? That's a bit strange. Now, here we go. I can sort of see you're active there, but we can't hear you. Is there something at this end? Switched in, got the right sound plug in.
You'll take high definition audio and will now be used.
Oh, okay. We had a bit of garble there.
The default microphone has changed to stereo mix. You'll take high definition audio and will now be used.
Oh, right. Fair enough. I think that was a subject matter which I couldn't quite comprehend there. But I don't know if that was a disguised message. Perhaps it was. Oh, well, Frank, well, I'm sure you're persevering. If it doesn't work, we can... 2 metres is open anyhow, so we can leave that. There we go. That channel's open as well. But see how you go. I can find another 78 while things get sorted here. Let's have a look through the pile. That was Grieg. Scratchy Grieg. Here's another one. What's this one? Oh, this is a personal fave. This is the overture to Ruslan and Ludmilla by Glinka. I love this piece. It's hey, okay, right. We're still getting the garbled voice there. Very fast voice. Overture to Ruslan and Ludmilla by Glinka. Right. This has to be played. I love this work. Oh, you're there. I can hear your voice.
Can you hear me?
I can indeed. You've made it.
Yes.
There's
There's a gremlin in the system.
I heard something.
All I've done, yes, you could hear my screen reader.
Oh, that's
reading
what it was. Okay.
But
Wow.
it was very fast and it would have sounded like goblins.
Yes, it did rather. I wasn't quite sure what I was hearing, but that's okay. You're here and it's working well. It's good copy, actually. It's all fine.
Yes. All I did was unplug and replug.
Yeah, no. I had to do that when I initiated Zoom as well. Sometimes has to be done that way. But
A little glitchy, but it's all right.
yeah, it's holding up. It's fine. Well,
Yeah, look,
Frank,
I like those Greek dances.
they're beautiful, aren't they? Yeah,
Aren't they
elegant.
lovely? Yeah, very lyrical. Just
are.
beautiful.
They are. Yes, he had a turn of phrase, didn't he, Mr. Grieg?
He did. He was. There's a what would you say, a ribbon of folk music running
Yeah,
through
that's
his-
right. It prevails. It certainly does, and you hear it in his all his music. It's everywhere, even in his piano concerto.
Yes.
I remember.
Even there, yep.
I remember years ago I played the Grieg cello sonata.
Oh, I don't know it.
Oh, it's wonderful. He wrote
have
it.
to play it sometime.
Oh, yeah. He wrote it at the same time as he was writing his piano concerto, so it shares thematic material. He borrowed one.
Oh.
The main theme is very similar. So I think he, a bit of cross-pollination there, but it was so much fun to play. It's just full of, it's really romantic music. And big sweeping phrases and huge leaps and high drama at every turn. It's great work.
Our musical appreciation teacher told us that he wrote that when his first child was born.
Oh, really? The work we just heard, or the
The piano concerto.
Oh, the piano concerto. Right. Okay. Oh, that's okay. That's
I don't
great.
know whether it's true.
Yeah.
But
I wonder.
it is certainly a very joyous piece of music, isn't it? The first movement. It is.
Oh, certainly the first movement is. Middle movement's gorgeous. Yeah, it's great music. I'll have to dig up my recording of Winifred Atwell playing the Greek concerto.
Yeah. And Percy does a very good recording.
He
of it as
does.
well.
He had a particular affinity with Grieg, and he sort of. I think it went in his mind. It went beyond the normal, but for a lot of things,
I think it likely did. Yes.
I think a lot of things went beyond
heard
the normal.
I heard an interview. I don't wasn't with Grieg obviously, but it was. I think Grieg was quoted by somebody who told him that what he liked about Percy was his forthrightness in playing and the strength with which he played.
Yeah.
And he kind of picked him out as somebody to play. I think he played for Grieg at a concert when Grieg was getting a bit past it.
Yes. There's a very interesting interview with. In fact, I have played it on one of the early emissions.
This might be what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Actually.
It's with Granger when he's in his last years, and
That's it.
he speaks about his association and how he impressed Grieg by knowing one of his more obscure pieces and played it straight away by memory for him, and I think Grieg was just completely blown out of the water. So I think that was a point of connection. And then he he really championed the piano concerto for decades. And even after he died, he kept championing because of that infamous piano roll recording of it. Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
So anyhow, that's the story. Yeah, look, now Grieg's music is always worth a listen. It's beautiful. And...
I remember when I was learning, I struggled with accuracy, shall we say?
Right.
But there was one piece that I learned that I actually could play very well.
Yeah.
Even if I say it myself, to my music teacher's total satisfaction. It's a short piece called "In My Native Land" or "In My Native Country."
Okay.
And it's just a little piano piece, but it's got lovely warmth and sort of fervour in it.
Oh, it sounds lovely. I might do a Data-matic.
In my native country or my native land. I don't know.
Okay, I'll just look it up and see if we can find in my native land. I'll try that first. Grieg.
Yeah.
And here we go.
It's one of a set, I think.
Yeah, in my native country. Here it is. Yay. All right, we'll have a listen to this. In my native land. Sure, this would be great. Grieg, one of Grieg's lyric pieces. That's why I see there's lots of different interpretations to choose from, but I think I'll just go with the one on the top of the list, and we'll just have to refer it, and we can have a listen. That sounds great. I mean, this will bring back some memories for you, probably.
Oh, it will. It certainly will.
Okay, we'll just have to just do the right thing here and find it on the list and have a listen. Music of Grieg, vk3sl, Test Missions. With a Q, slow Q.
Yeah.
It's from In My Homeland.
Yes,
And
yes.
It looks like
It's all lovely stuff, patriotic stuff.
Sure. Okay. It should be right to start in any moment. It's just going through the motions here. It's a slow start. This is what happens when we don't know what the
I think it might be in D. I'm not. I think
okay.
It could be
Sure. Well, listen. It's still. Here it is. It's the third of Grieg's lyric pieces from Book 3, in
Lovely,
My
very
Native Country.
well. I didn't have such a big rallentando at the end.
Right. Yeah, he certainly let the music breathe, didn't he?
Yes, he did. That's right. It still sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Beautiful music. I love this. It's a sort of simplicity in his writing as well. It's not sort of too busy. His music always, and it's always well proportioned.
It's not trying too hard to impress, is it?
No, not at all. No, something very, very natural about Grieg's music.
It's felt music, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Oh, that's good. I'll have to listen to more of those lyric pieces.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all good.
Oh, that's great. Oh, well, that's a nice memory. Oh, I could play you a little bit of the cello sonata. See if I can find the cello sonata. Grieg cello sonata.
This is nostalgia corner,
we're
folks.
both having our Grieg experience, aren't we?
That's right.
So it's a cello sonata. Oh, I did this at uni, and I actually have a recording of myself playing it somewhere, but it's on a. But
that's for another. Dig it out, please.
No, it's somewhere.
No.
I don't know. Where we go? I'll just play a bit of the first movement. The Allegro agitato. It's got a fervour to it. This movement. So here we go. This will be a good recording. This is with Rostropovich and Richter. Well, this is not
couldn't get much better than that.
This is a dynamic duo here. So we'll hear a little of the Grieg cello sonata, and this will be my little nostalgia trip. I'd love to. There we have the first movement of Grieg's Sonata for Cello and Piano. And
Lovely stuff.
it's pretty fiery work. And did you hear the big quote from the piano concerto?
Well, especially at the end.
Yes, at the end. Incredible.
And there was another one earlier on
There
too.
is. There's a couple. Yes.
Couple, actually, yes.
He used thematic material shared by both works, but it's pretty much like a piano concerto. And
look, the piano really, but the cello was pretty important.
oh, yes. And I remember when I did it for a lunchtime recital at Melbourne Hall, and when I was in third year, I think, and I had a really fantastic pianist. He was just amazing, and he was really able to bring the colours out, and it lifts you when you have a piano player who's just totally, on top of his craft. It really, it really brought it to life. But gosh, it all came back. I haven't really listened to it since that time, so it's nice to hear it again. Yeah, so that was fun.
Oh, look, that was great.
Yeah, good music of Grieg. Well, that was a little escapade, wasn't it? When we both had our dose of formative.
That was lovely to hear.
recognition.
It brought back lovely memories because, well, for one thing, I really liked the piece as I learned it.
Yes.
And the other thing was that it was one piece where my music teacher was really happy to hear me playing it. And, I played it at a school concert.
Did you? Oh,
Yes.
wow. Fantastic. Oh, that's great.
And he was standing by me, and he said at the very end, he whispered, "Very, very nice."
Oh, tremendous. Oh, that's a great memory. Excellent.
This is too much information, I realise.
It's good. No, it's important to recognise these things and feel those connections. That's terrific. Good for you.
It's a good memory for me.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's great. Now, speaking of sort of musical discoveries and things, is
Yes.
any news, anything to report
Yes, the room is book by book being cleared out.
on the... Okay. It's almost available.
Yes, it sort of is. It sort of is. It's really. I'd rather let him finish before I start because
sure.
we're kind of getting each other's way. But we've had all sorts of interruptions.
Naturally. Yeah.
And we had my other son Patrick got COVID. His whole family got it.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, and his wife probably, we think, brought it in from the school she teaches at.
Oh, it's pretty common. I see it every day now.
Yes. So she got it, and then Patrick got it, and then the two kids got it.
Yeah.
The kids and Tanya got better in a day.
Oh, did they? Okay.
They did. Well, I say better. They obviously still had it, but
Sure.
there weren't any effects to speak of.
Yeah.
And but Patrick had it for the whole week, and in fact, he's gone back to work. I don't think he's 100%, but
really?
he said he's got to go back because they're very short of staff already.
Yeah, it's commonplace.
They're really struggling, and it's a health service delivery place, and it's sort of pretty important in the scheme of things.
Yeah,
so.
I can appreciate that. Yeah, it's there are lots of dimensions to all of this, but oh well, I hope everyone's okay.
Yes. Everyone's pretty good now, and I had to get some rats.
Oh yes,
and
we've got a mountain of them here. Yeah,
do the tests. Yes, I had another incident. So fortunately there was a week between when I last saw the family and when they got it.
Yes.
So I was sort of in the clear there, but there was another case where a friend who drives me to U3A on Fridays, and I spent a couple of hours with him, and he found that he had it a couple of days after I'd seen him. Okay. So that was a very serious... I thought I was in all sorts of trouble there.
I'm sure you'd be fine.
We dodged the bullet, so all is well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good, and but I think in the end we'll get it. But
I think we will. Yes.
I think that's just the way of things. But so your room, it's clearing, and you've so how's it all going to unfold? You'll have to set up your
yes.
And
so the setting up is going to be a big thing because I don't want to go. This detail is really boring to the listener, but I need somebody who is familiar with what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And and I've got to work out the best way to do that. I think I will go and talk to a contact that I have in a music store. Where I buy
is it worth going into?
stuff.
I mean, a lot of the stores have mock studio, or they have sort of setups. And
Yes,
is it worth?
that's a very interesting idea,
So
actually.
maybe if you just could seat yourself and just get the feel, and then they could just emulate one of their established sort of situations. Maybe I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've got people who are good at software, but they're not musicians.
Yeah, so the ergonomics of it are very important with that sort of thing. I mean, you want to be able
Totally,
to have comfortably, have your access to everything you need to, and have and be well positioned with your monitoring, and so on.
Yep.
But
I've thought through some of that. I've got my monitoring earphones have a very long cord.
yeah, that's good. Yeah,
And all sorts. So I've in the run, I've paid attention to a lot. I've been reading a lot about it.
yeah. And you've got the right software packages, and you've got the an up-to-date Mac, so it's just a question of putting all the plugs together, I suppose, and just making sure you're
Pretty much
comfortable.
like that. Yeah, and getting the settings right.
Yeah,
And,
definitely. Have you moved on some of the other keyboards and things? Because that was all on the cards, wasn't it? You were going to sort of, you're going to consolidate.
Well, I have. I sold one of the big ones and got more for it than I'd expected to.
Wow, that's good.
But I sunk a lot of that money into buying a bedside radio, an extremely luxurious bedside radio, which does everything except make toast.
That sounds good.
But it's got two of these. They're only 3-inch speakers, but they sound incredible. They've got neodymium magnets in them.
Oh, very good. Excellent.
So
yeah, does it pick
range,
up? Does it pick up 160 meters?
No, it doesn't do that. Unfortunately, it doesn't even do. Of course, it doesn't even do AM.
Okay, sure.
It only does DAB and FM.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh well, that's all good. No, you want something that's that gives you good fidelity. Yeah.
Yes. But I'm arranging to get the others over. I've sort of. I'm in negotiation, well, not negotiation. I'm in contact with the people that are going to sell them for me on consignment.
Yep. Sure.
And that's we've had a hold up there with various illnesses and things.
Yeah, look, I fully understand. I'll keep pressuring you though.
I'll give you a report from time
yes,
to time.
here and there I'll say, how's it going? How's it going? So we need missions fodder here, so we need some creative output from you, Frank. We need. See, there's a selfish reason behind all of this, you see.
I think I might have to look for stimulation in perhaps all sorts of. The great stimulation to me is listening to music. I mean,
Totally. Yeah, understood. Yeah. Oh well, it's a journey, and but we'll have to get Mr. Steve back on, won't we?
Oh please, yeah. I haven't heard him. He hasn't been on Clint's missions for a while.
Right, okay. I wonder how he's going. I should dig up his CD and play some more from it, and we'll bring him back in and see if he's done anything else. But
that's right.
That's a masterpiece, that synth that he's built. Yeah.
Incredible thing. I'd love to see it. Have you seen it?
No, not in person. No, I've only seen photographs of it. But it's like those synthy 100s. It's like it's just
full of knobs and dials and plugs
and patch
sockets.
bays and things. It's
patch bays. Yes.
Yeah, it's the full McCoy, or whatever they say, the full something.
Yeah.
And
full Monty.
Full Monty. Yes, it's got all of it, all of the bells and whistles, and but it's the way I like experiencing technology, is to have everything in front of me, and just no hidden menus or nested features. It's all in your face, but that's the preferred way, so you can
absolutely
engage more readily with it, I suppose. Yeah, I'm picking up a radio tomorrow, and and this was an impulsive buy. Some time ago, a few weeks back, I don't usually go through eBay much these days, but there was a 20s set, homemade 1920s set with a very beautiful dragon horn. and the Amplion horns had a like a pedal, wooden pedal horn. They're quite spectacular. It's not in the best condition, but they are pretty rare, and they usually go for silly money. So I just put a bid on and forgot about it. Just put $100 on or something.
Not expecting,
but the thing was, it was a pickup only, and it was local, and I think so I was in the right place at the right time, and I won the bid. So
that's brilliant.
Yeah,
that's absolutely brilliant.
It's going to be good. So I'll try and do it up and make it a sort of a furniture piece, because it's quite a large horn, and but it's got 10 wooden petals on it. And
it'll look pretty impressive.
Oh, it'll look really nice. Yeah. So it'll be good. So that's something.
Look forward to seeing that when I come over.
Yeah, definitely. I'll have to show it to you. And the wireless set too, it'll probably need a bit of work, but it's an original wireless set, 1924. It's pretty early, and it's in a big cabinet, and it's got space for where the batteries and things went. But
it'd be a super het, is it?
No. It's a TRF.
TRF, okay.
I think, or regen. Yeah, it's early days, really early.
Yeah, it's covering the broadcast band, obviously.
Oh yes, that's right. But I'll have to build a battery thing for it, and you know, it'll be a longer term project to get that going. But I was just particularly taken by the horn, and it was sort of timely, because at that very time is when Dave's video came out. So on that very subject, yeah. So there we go.
Yeah.
So that's
great stuff.
So
well done.
I'll pick that up tomorrow. Yeah. So anyhow, well, look, let's see. We're going to have a listen to some accordion music, weren't we? We're going to dial up some.
That's right.
Yeah. I'll have a look.
Solo.
Yeah, we can sort of do a bit of a sift here and see what's here. Some Piazzolla. Here's a Romance del Diablo, arranged by Crab.
It's the devil.
This could be interesting.
The Romance of the Devil, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it does. Yes, and it looks like he's playing with this group. Who else are playing? Okay, it's some City Recital Angel Place Ensemble in Residence, a night of tango. So it's from a live performance, but I reckon this is worth a listen. This will be good. So we featured him this afternoon. Now I did notice that he uses an accordion with buttons, not with a keyboard.
Interesting.
Not with a keyboard. So that's
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I
would have expected that the really good accordion players would use keys.
Yeah, that's the way I've always associated with keys. But now this was quite interesting to see. So maybe it's a special accordion. So here's a concert from 2014.
I think James Krabs is buttons as well. Someone said.
Well, that's the one I'm mentioning. Yeah, that's it. So this,
I'm sorry. Right.
This is his with buttons. So it's a large accordion.
Yeah.
So that would be a particular technique. It wouldn't be the same as, usually a keyboard you can move laterally, and there's a certain geometry. But this would be a very different experience, I imagine.
I should think totally different. You'd have to knowing a keyboard wouldn't be of any help for it, really.
Not necessarily. That's right. Everything would have a different relative place, I suppose. But I'd be interested. It'd be good to have it explained. I'd like to find out more.
Yeah, very good.
But I always enjoyed the accordion. Played well.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Notwithstanding Lawrence Welk.
It used to be played when I was a kid. I used to hear it from time to time.
Yeah.
There'd be groups that get together, family groups and stuff would get together and at parties, and sometimes someone would produce an accordion.
Yes.
For the community singing,
Oh, that's very good. This brings back a memory of a memory. Years ago, I used to play in a string quartet which played at weddings and functions. And it was quite an interesting group. It was the craziest first violinist. She was mad as a hatter. But we also had for some gigs we had an accordion player who used to work with us. And I remember once the party all started to sing Happy Birthday, and he jumped on the accordion and they chose a key, but they chose D flat major. this dreadful key. So he was playing C and D.
I'm sorry. Yeah, of course. He wanted them to play C major and they semitone up.
So it produced this conundrum for the accordion player. So he just played the two in the bass, the two notes together. And it was just hilarious. It was just one of those sort of those moments of having to cope. And then and I remember the fiddle player, she did a big gesture with her bow and it got caught in the light fitting. And she did this big sweep with a bow, and she had a bow that was worth about $50,000, and it was stuck in the light. And then the whole party had to sort of shut down while we untangled her bow. And and look, she had this Guagnini violin, was worth about $150,000, and this expensive bow, and I remember that. Yes, lots of stories about this individual. I'll save them, but
she sounds fascinating.
She was a very, very unusual person, and quite entertaining. Yeah, well, let's have a listen now to Romance del Diablo, the music of Piazzolla with James Crabb and his ensemble. I think this will cue up now. I think we're ready. from a live performance in 2014, Piazzolla's Romance del Diablo. Yeah,
Nice.
it's very beautiful, isn't it? It's there's a lovely complementary character to the accordion and strings, a string ensemble.
Yes.
And
They blend beautifully, don't they?
they certainly do. And I was expecting something a little bit more animated, but very much in the tradition of a romance, I thought. Yeah, just this sort of soft melding themes.
I don't think it's got anything to do with the devil at all.
No, I couldn't sort of hear any sort of,
There's no satanic messages or
yeah,
anything.
nothing played backwards.
That's right.
None of that.
Exactly.
No, it seemed to be very, very controlled. But no, lovely to hear. And so you heard James Crabb with Genevieve last week.
But yeah. No. With the MSO.
Oh, the MSO, right? Okay.
Or a a distilled MSO.
Yeah, sure.
In the recital centre.
Okay.
And they played third Brandenburg.
Hmm.
And they played it because the third one, not because the third Brandenburg has no slow movement.
That's right, doesn't it? That's right.
And so somebody called Sally Beamish decided she'd write a slow movement for it,
Okay.
and they played that.
All right, that's a bold thing to do.
Well, it was. It was. It had very little to do with Bach or the Brandenburg in spirit. The person with us said, and I agree with her, that it was really out of character with the rest of the piece.
Well, it takes something away, notionally. It takes something away because I love the way the two movements in the third Brandenburg and Concerto just sort of rollick into each other.
They flow, don't they?
They do.
And it's disruptive, actually.
Yeah. I think traditionally there was a cadenza, an improvised cadenza linking them.
That's right.
But
sometimes some people play that.
They do.
They play, they improvise one.
Yeah, so they just sort of do a flourish or just something based on a chord just to lead in. But it's always a tricky one when you add movements to established works. I'm all for sort of value adding and reinterpreting. I think there's a lot of room for wild creativity, really, and I relish in hearing just fantastic and insightful performances of great music reimagined. But I think adding movements is a tricky one. It's almost competes.
It's almost presumptuous. Isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right. I do think you're right. And even if it has the greatest and best intent behind it, I don't know. It competes with the other music potentially, at least. Yeah, interesting.
It broke the mood of the piece.
Yeah, sure.
And really, it disrupted the continuity.
That's it.
And it was a good piece of music on its own. She should have just released it as a
standalone, perhaps. That's right.
Standalone. And they played another piece that she wrote as a standalone.
Did they?
They also played something that Elena Katz-Chernin wrote.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yes.
Oh,
and
good.
that was good.
Yeah,
it was good.
Yeah. No, she's very active. I always enjoy her music. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I know.
But it was a very good, and the concertmaster, the leader of the orchestra, Sophie Rowell, she spoke about things about she gave a commentary as the night went on, and she it sounded as though she'd got the enterprise together.
Okay.
I think she did.
Sure.
Okay. And that added to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Good. Yeah,
but it was a 2-hour concert.
Wow, gosh.
No encore, unfortunately.
Sure.
We were all expecting.
So was it all contemporary music except for the Bach? Was it all sort of
They played. They did the Brandenburg and they did the third orchestral suite.
Oh, did they? I love that work. Oh,
yeah.
No. That's the D major one, isn't it?
Yeah. The one with the air.
Yeah. That's gorgeous. Yeah, I had the first movement of that we had at our wedding. At
Oh,
that,
did you?
yeah, we have the Conservatorium Orchestra come down and play, and they did that and Vivaldi concerto. But
Magnificent.
yeah, that's I love that orchestral suite. It's great music.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, look, I've noticed that there's a few recordings online of Genevieve and James Crabb together. So,
Look, see what you think of it. I think they sound great together.
look, I'd like to hear this very much. I've always enjoyed the recorder, and it's an instrument that just completely draws me in.
Yes,
I love the colours and the sound. The instrument played well and is just something so special. It's a bit spoilt by
Yes.
primary school kids squawking on it.
I'm afraid so.
And I think in a lot of people's minds that's all it is, but played well, it's something so special. So
We
yeah,
were very lucky at primary school. We had lovely recorders. They were just desk-head recorders.
yeah,
But they were wooden recorders
were they?
made by the Dolmetsch company.
Oh, really? Oh gosh,
Yeah,
wow, how
beautiful.
interesting. Yeah, that would make a difference if you had something that sort of really had a nice resonance. You'd be probably more inclined to play it well.
I had to, unfortunately we had to give them back.
Yeah.
But I went straight out and bought a plastic recorder because
Yes.
I was interested to see,
Yes.
and I was so disappointed
Yeah.
because it didn't have the warmth
That's right.
or the subtlety. It was just a huge letdown, you know.
Yeah. It's amazing to think one of the greatest recorder makers of all time, effectively the Stradivarius of the recorder, Fred Morgan, lived in Castlemaine. Oh, yeah, I think.
Yes.
And
I'd heard about him.
yeah, he was someone who just he had waiting lists 5 years long, and then he suddenly got killed in a car accident. And
no, I
and
didn't know that.
it was a really sad event, and suddenly all these people just were sort of left aghast. And so the recorders he did make are they're just so they're considered to be the bees knees.
It's just shreds of the recorder.
That's
as you
it.
say.
So
They'd be worth a lot of money.
I think they are. So I remember I've spoken to Genevieve a couple of times, and
have you?
Yeah, I've met her. Yeah, and I did ask her about that, and she said that the Fred Morgan recorders are just they're the recorder to own because there's only so few of them now.
Yes,
But interesting. But well, look, we'll hear Genevieve and James Crabb, and well, this is what's the name of this piece? I think it's a special arrangement. I think it's arranged by him. Mary Scott, "The Flower of Yarrow" is the name of
this
the
will be
piece.
could be a Scottish folk song.
It could well be. Yeah, let's have a listen and see. Interesting, finishing on an interrupted cadence there.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, wow, how beautiful is that?
I know.
Yeah, what a dialogue. Recorder and accordion. Yeah, it's the openness in the sound. There's,
Yeah.
it's something else, isn't it? It's really, I find it draws me in. So many instruments have a core to the sound, which is also beautiful, but in this instance, I love the way the recorder sort of vowel sounds, I suppose, and they sort of, the phrasing sort of opens out. One note sort of, brings forward other, a sequence via vowels rather than consonants, I think, or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. I wish I could find words to describe it, but it's really beautiful. All right.
They're really integrated to me. When they play together, they have a lovely sense of togetherness, I think.
They do. They certainly do. There's quite a few here. I'd like to hear some more.
They play some. They do a Bach very well.
Okay, well, I might check out and see if there's any of them playing Bach. Here's another one by Diego Ortiz, and it's called Ricarda Segunda. It's the name of the track, and the same two artists, but I reckon this is with Guernsey as well. I think the character of this one's a little different to the one we just heard.
I think this might be early music.
Yeah. I think it's also folk inspired, but let's find out.
Yeah.
Bravo! Wow, flights of imagination. Sound of the recorder and the accordion.
It was great.
It is. Now, there is some Bach. There's a sonata in D minor, BWV 527. A vivace. There's quite a bit actually, but we'll play the vivace. And it'll be interesting to hear how Bach fares. Bach always works. It works no matter what you do with it.
You can't mess him up.
You can't.
Even if you try.
It's so true. Yeah. Well, let's have a listen to this now. Same two artists. There's a lot here actually. This is going to be.
Yes.
the music of Bach. Again, James Crabb and Genevieve Lacey. Wow. Well, what a magic combination, really.
They go well, don't they?
They certainly do. The counterpoint works really well. Very
Yeah, the three parts come out beautifully separately, don't they?
They do.
Or distinguishably from each other.
Yeah, I think that's the best term, distinguishably, because there's significant difference, but it's very effective. I notice here I want to hear this. There's a recording of her playing Telemann Fantasia. And Clayton used to play these. Now, these are remarkable works because they've got implied bass lines. They're written for solo instrument.
Oh, really? I didn't know he did this sort of stuff.
Yeah, he did. So, yeah, there's. I'd like to hear it. I think it'll sound amazing. So we'll hear Genevieve Lacey on her own. This is a recording made in the Melbourne Recital Centre. And we'll hear Telemann's Fantasia number 1 for solo recorder. vk3sl testing. And that's it. That's Telemann's Fantasia number 1.
Lovely.
It's it certainly is. It's fascinating how it has its own internal sort of rhythm. It's
Yeah.
it's very sort of episodal.
Isn't it? Yes, it's not, doesn't flow, does it?
Yeah, it's not sort of metronomic. It's got
No,
this.
no. It fits and starts, but it works.
Yeah, it's like statements or phrases or
That's it.
yeah,
Yes.
it just has these sort of ideas that sort of flourish, and but it's a different way of conceiving the rallentando, or the it's not in the traditional way where everything is so rhythmically defined. It's just like these expositions, these sort of flights of
Yes.
it's almost melismatic. It reminds me of some of that music from Turkey and other.
You know, it reminds me a little bit of, in a strange way, is Thelonious Monk's piano playing.
Right. Yeah, that's very episodal for sure. Yeah, he's
Just
playing.
in that way.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's good. It's good to make these associations. I love that. I could listen to that 1,000 times, I think.
It's beautiful. You also have a bit of a sense, well, not quite such a sense of not knowing what comes next, because you can guess, but it's still got a lot of inventiveness in there
It
in terms of what he does.
Yeah.
One phrase and then the next phrase.
Yeah, it's such an alluring sound. Oh, just the
It's beautiful.
openness of the recorded sound is something that just touches me. It's
I might have wished her a little bit closer to the mic. I suppose you certainly you picked up the acoustic of the recitals.
Yes, very much so. It was. It's very much about the space. I think it's sort of promoting the recital centre.
I think so. Well, nothing wrong with that, really.
No.
But I'm perhaps a little bit closer at mine.
Yeah. Sure, I understand. Well, we've heard Bach and we've heard Telemann. Shall we hear some Vivaldi? With
Yes.
So you made a series of recordings with the Brandenburg Orchestra with Paul Dyer, and I think these were made some time ago. But I love a little bit of Vivaldi since we're having a Baroque fest now.
Absolutely.
We can indulge. We can have a listen to this concerto for recorder and strings in C minor, RV 441. Genevieve Lacey.
Very
hundreds.
His detractors would say one concerto written many times.
Yes, written 1,000 times.
1,000 times. I think that's cruel.
I think it is cruel because there's always great melodic content and the episodes. I love the episodes in his writing. Those episodal passages, and because they're all. I know they're a little bit sewing machine like, but they. I don't know. I think they're full of flavour, and they can be interpreted in a medium of ways. And
yes, yeah.
Particularly when someone's
apparently
really
the Four Seasons. The Four Seasons is is among the top number of recorders of performances recorded in the whole canon.
Wow, it's extraordinary. In fact, it's funny you mentioned that because I was this afternoon. So I was. I opened the missions with that recording of the romance, the second romance of Beethoven's, with Louis Kaufman, gorgeous playing. It was really Kreisler-like. But he is credited for discovering Vivaldi. And
really?
He sort of put Vivaldi on the map. And so Vivaldi was almost completely unknown because there was only a few opuses. He only actually released... published really only I think it was his Opus 3 and his Opus his L'Estro Harmonica, the harmonic Wim Opus 3, and then there was Opus 8, and then there was I think Opus 12 was the Four Seasons, and there's not much Vivaldi in the public domain. And Kaufman was the first to record the Four Seasons in 1947, I think. And then that sort of people started to get interested in Vivaldi, and that's how it all sort of progressed.
Well, it's very interesting you should say that because I had a conversation with my music appreciation teacher in adulthood. I remained friends as adults right up until he died.
Wow!
And I said to him one day, Hugh, why did you never play to us? And this I'm talking about the 50s.
Sure.
Why did you never play any Vivaldi to us? He said, well, he just wasn't, in the public eye, really.
Isn't it interesting? Yeah. It's just like I've started up. Let's have a listen to a bit of this. We'll hear a little of Winter
Yes.
played by Louis Kaufman in the 40s. This is it. This
Oh,
is
wonderful.
putting Vivaldi on the map.
This is historic.
It is
This
truly historic
absolutely.
because this was what sort of set the scene. So, I just stumbled on this afternoon. So here we go. I think this is Winter, or a movement from Winter, from what I can gather. Let's have a listen.
Yes, it is.
Well, what a fascinating historical document that is. That's the very first recording, of the Four Seasons, 1947.
Wonderful.
With Louis Kaufman. And who's playing with it? It's the Concert Hall Chamber Orchestra of somewhere, Zurich or something. But anyhow, it's a fascinating document, and there are significant differences in the way that, obviously, the way that people interpret it now. The revivalists will put their stamp on it, but but some of the ornamentation's quite strikingly different too. So, so
you still hear that lovely shine on the tone.
Yes, gorgeous sounds, just amazing. I'll have to investigate that further. I'd like to hear those recordings and hear other excerpts from the Vivaldi Opus 8. So there we go. That's quite fascinating. Well, I'm just looking at the time. It's 1:30, and I do have an early. I could just keep going all night, but I've got an. I know my thresholds aren't quite what they. perhaps could be. And
Nor am I.
yeah, no, I probably should just be mindful of that. And tie the ribbons. And look, tomorrow I should be back in time for the missions. But I know that we're going out tomorrow evening, so it might have to be a short program. We'll see how that all happens.
That'll be fine.
And look, there's a recording here of Genevieve Lacey playing Sculthorpe's Koori Dreaming. And it's a very evocative work. It's contemporary, but it's full of colour and the subject's interesting. And we don't often play the music of Peter Sculthorpe, so it could be a nice way to finish. And
that'd be lovely. I'd really like, in terms of making suggestions, I'd love to hear a feature of Genevieve one night.
Yeah, we should look at a whole output. I mean, there's all sorts of things here. There's a discussion. Look, before we wind, I can play this because it sounds interesting. This is about something she's done with the MSO called the Birds of Paradise.
Yes, I've heard of this.
Yeah, so look, we'll just hear her in her own words just explain, and I think there's a few musical examples, a bit of a promo, I think, for a particular event, but it's quite short, and it just allows us to hear what she has to say herself.
She was very adept at trying new things. She loved to try new things.
Yeah, very much so. Very inquiring mind and great imagination. So, yeah, here we have Miss Lacey herself.
Musicians are extraordinary listeners, and often we think of ourselves as players, makers of sound, rather than people who receive sound. But we've actually spent so many years of our lives training our ears and our sensibilities, so we experience the world through our ears. That skill is actually incredibly transferable. Of course, you use it in a rehearsal room, but you can use that really deep and meticulous listening in so many other contexts as well. And I found that probably the strength that I can rely on most is my ability just to be quiet and listen. I absolutely love Hollis Taylor and John Rose's Absolute Bird Concerto. I suppose I have a particular connection to it because I have a connection with those artists, the composers who actually wrote the work. And it's a great privilege when composers write a piece, particularly for you. It feels really personal. It feels almost like a child that you want to shepherd into the world and take great care of. For me, birdsong is definitely music, and birds are the original musicians. They're the ultimate musicians as far as I'm concerned. I suppose I say that with a bias because I have a great love for birds and because my instrument, the recorder, is very bird-like. So I feel like I'm slightly tuned to those frequencies. I've been reading a lot about birds and birdsong these last years, and there's some amazing scientific studies talking about birds as musicians as well as birds as communicators, and certainly Hollis Taylor and John Rose's piece that I'll be playing is something that is so inspired by and completely grounded in bird songs. I have the great joy and fun of trying to turn myself into a bird, and that's just pure pleasure. But I also love the piece because it's embedded in the environment. It starts and ends with environmental sounds, and bird song and the sounds of cicadas are woven right through the piece. So it's a very strong environmental statement and a very strong statement about place, and particularly about Australia. Melbourne is my hometown, so Melbourne Symphony Orchestra are my home orchestra. And as a soloist, you travel a great deal, so quite often I'm playing with strangers. But playing with the MSO, I'm playing with friends and colleagues who I've known for so many years. I'd say the Melbourne Symphony has a really open and warm sound, and there's a lot of character. The orchestra is full of characters, and it's a culture that allows those characters to speak. So it's quite a playful orchestra. As anyone watching this would know, last year was a really challenging year for musicians. And to be able to be reunited with colleagues and friends and to be able to actually make sound together in a room is just such a privilege. And I don't think it's something we'll ever take for granted again.
It's a promo for a work called The Birds of Paradise, something I'd really like to look into. And
Indeed.
we just heard Genevieve Lacey tell the story. It's the music of Hollis Taylor and John Rose.
Written for her, apparently.
Indeed. Yeah, I'd like to find it. I'd like to hear
I know.
it. It's great. And I endorse what she says. It makes she explain that so well.
Didn't she?
Yeah.
Didn't she? Yeah.
The art of listening and being. That's what I find, Frank. You know, these recent trips.
Yes.
There's a lot of sort of downtime. You know, Zen time or something. Or
Yes. Yeah.
time where the environmental sounds become omnipresent and really feature. And I think it's something to celebrate. And
It is.
it really is something special.
There is so much to hear if you listen intently.
That's it. Yeah, and in layers upon layers, and just the finest things. But there's. I remember I used to do an exercise with class. If I had a class I'm teaching where kids are particularly receptive and no one's mucking around, you can do deep listening, and no one's going to fart or do something that's going to upset
the mood of the moment.
But if you sort of get the kids just to sit down or lie down and just tune in to the environmental sounds anywhere, it's staggering how your sensitivities sort of become aroused by the sounds around. It's amazing.
I get to the point where I can hear the blood in my ears moving around. You hear the inside. That's extreme, but it's not a bad thing, because it's but it's very rare that you hear total silence.
Interesting. Yeah. If you've ever been in something like an
anechoic chamber,
or a mine shaft or something, or in a mine tour or something where there's just there's no sound propagation at all.
Well, I've been down a mine or a cave. I've been in a cave, which would be a similar thing. And obviously, you've got a big acoustic in the cave.
Yes, there's a sort of an ambience, isn't there? Even if it's not.
Yeah. What I found very sensorily disturbing was an anechoic chamber.
Right.
Oh my God! It just. I don't know. I felt claustrophobic, really. I can't quite describe it, but having no sense from making noise of getting any information from it at all about the surroundings.
So can you hear breathing?
Yes.
But it would be,
But you hear that internally. I mean,
that's true. It's true.
That's internal. Your internal noises still come through to you, all right?
Yes, but there's no secondary reflection at all.
No. It just goes into the void, and it took me a while to actually not feel uncomfortable, really uncomfortable.
That's absolutely fascinating. Yeah, the closest I've experienced to that is that you ever been in the concert hall, and there's like a void between the outer area, and there's like a sound trap. And,
yes, there is. That's right.
And it's like a corridor which is carpeted on the floor, walls, and ceiling, and it sort of sucks the sound out. And,
it does. Yes.
And I find that disturbing after being in a concert with all of its richness,
fullness, and yes,
and then suddenly in that sort of void, that vacuous space.
Yeah. The contrast.
Yeah. It is. But an anechoic chamber would be something else. That would be because it's a three-dimensional thing, isn't it? Because you're standing on the...
totally. It's all enveloping. Yeah.
Gosh, how extraordinary! I'd love to. I wonder if there are any around. I'd like to organise. I'd like to have that experience, but I think it would be terrifying. Just to experience something where there's a Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's no reflection.
I can't really come anywhere near to describing it, really. You'd have to, but I'm sure you'd know what I mean if you did it, because it's.
So I wonder what happened if you played an instrument in there. The sound.
Yeah, no, I imagine it'd be like playing it outside, but I don't know.
I wonder.
Although playing it outside, you get reverberances of sorts, don't you?
You do. You sort of. Yes, there are, and there's certainly the ground you're on is a part of the picture. Unless you played it, unless you're suspended from a crane or a in some sort of I don't know, amazing suspension, but because yes, you would get something from the ground and from objects around. But I imagine
That's right.
what you describe, there'd just be nothing.
It's nothing.
Yeah, it's weird.
It is right. Well, I hope you can do it one day, because
I'd like to experience it. It's one of those things that's on the bucket list. I'll have to, because it would.
Perhaps a recording studio somewhere might
Yes,
do
there
it.
maybe there is one somewhere that would offer that opportunity. But I imagine where did you go? Where was your experience?
I'm just trying to remember where it was. That's a very good question.
Yeah. Because they're
remember.
highly specialised spaces. They're not.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they've got
Look,
layers of absorption.
I will remember. I guess, but I can't at the moment.
Sure.
I remember there was thick carpet on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Because some of them have like a cage. Some of them have like a wire cage with a void underneath you as well. But the carpet sounds like it was absorbing.
I don't know. I'll have to try and sift through my life experiences and to remember. But you'd think I'd remember where it was, because it was such a made a big imprint on me. You know.
Well, I mean, sensory deprivation can make people go insane. Yeah, I mean,
that's what it was all about for me. It was definitely sensory deprivation, taken to extreme.
Well, I think it's actually seen as a form of torture. I mean, in some situations, people who are given no sensory stimuli for extended periods actually lose their minds.
I can see how to drive you mad. It would drive me mad.
I think likewise. I think I can't imagine not having that sense. One sense of place is in relation to a perceived sound world, and it's extraordinary. Yeah. That's an interesting topic. It's one I'd like to come back to. Yeah,
that's driving me crazy now. I can't remember where. I will remember, I think, but I can't remember at the moment.
Sure. Yeah. That's okay. Well, look, Frank, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's great to catch up and listen to some good music, and just let the journey take us for a ride.
That's right.
Go with the flow.
That's the one. Thank you, Steve. Always great. Great fun.
Yeah, it's been good, and we'll should be around for a bit anyhow tomorrow. See how we go, and I'll be able to tell you about the latest speaker purchase. And
yes, indeed. What about tomorrow morning?
Look, I might have to do. I'll see how. I'd like to at least come up for a little bit and say hi to Gus. Haven't spoken to him for a while.
He does like it when you can, of course.
Yeah, look, I enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. So I don't know how long I'll be able to hang around for, but I'll chime in and say hi to him and anybody else who might be around. So we'll all being well. So look, we'll wind up with this recording of Sculthorpe's Koori Dreaming, Genevieve Lacey. I think it's with prepared piano as well. And
all right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll drop off as usual and listen on the radio.
Okay, fine. All good. All right. Well, thank you again, and we'll speak again soon.
Thank you. Talk soon.
Okay. Cheers, Frank. All the very best.
Take care. Yep. And you, Steve.
Yeah. And just all the very best to listeners, and thank you for listening through to this point.
Goodbye to the listener, especially Jamie, if you're listening.
Indeed.
Or if you hear this in delay.
Perhaps. Yes, indeed. All right. Let's wind up with Genevieve Lacey. This is vk3sl saying cheerio.